Hey guys, it's Tom Higgenson from the band Plain White Tees, and this is I Effin' Love That Song podcast. Each week I'll have an amazing songwriter join as a special guest to discuss their stories behind some of your favorite hit songs. So, hanging out today with Mitch Allan. He has written some amazing songs that I love, such as Heart Attack by Demi Lovato. His original band, SR71, had the song Right Now, which was huge for me back in the day. And I know normally I just talk to everybody about one song, but I couldn't choose just one song with Mitch. So today we're going to talk about two songs, Want to Want Me by Jason Derulo and 1985 by Bowling for Soup. I fucking love those songs. So does that sound good with you, Mitch?
Let's do it, man.
Awesome.
I love that you actually asked about 1985, and let me tell you why. Because this week, well, what is this, Tuesday, Wednesday? So it would have been Friday of last week. Friday of last week, this indiscriminate box shows up on my front porch. And I see it from out the window, and I'm thinking, oh, yeah, Amazon presents, you know, like we all get every day now since quarantine. But I'm looking, I'm like, man, that box looks familiar. Seen that box before. I'm thinking, what did I order? But for some reason, I'm just a little bit too lazy to actually open the front door and go grab the box. I see it and I think, I'm going to grab some coffee. I'm going to chill for a little bit. I forget the box is there. A couple hours go by. My assistant gets to the studio and he's like, hey, yo, what's the box on the front porch? I'm like, yeah, go grab that box. He pulls the box in. I'm looking at it. Now it starts to hit me. Wait, I think there's a plaque in that box. Open that box up. So we grab a box opener. We open it up and 1985 was just certified digital platinum last month after 15 years in the marketplace. Now it sold 5 million physical copies, but they have this thing. It's just digital, and that's an aggregate of streams and people that are buying it, still buying it online and iTunes store and everything.
Of course, yeah.
It just passed 2 million 15 years later. Thank you very much.
Congrats, dude.
I called Jared and I was like, man, this is incredible. So we talked for a little bit. We were just laughing about how, you know, it's so weird to be part of a song that's part of culture. And that gets brought up. And the references are so bizarre because it's kind of an ageless song where when we wrote it, we thought it's super fun. And, you know, maybe older people will get it because they remember 1985. We never dreamed it would have such a young audience. Kids loved it. It became this Radio Disney thing. And then there was this thing, I don't know if they do it anymore, called Kids Bop, where the kids re-record all the songs. And so it had this shelf life of like 3 generations. The generation, our generation that understood the joke, the older generation that was like, yeah, I remember 85. I remember the music back then. I remember Whitesnake. And then these young kids who just kind of loved the melody and the funness of it. So just, I don't know. It's just kind of nice that 15 years later, here we are.
I feel like the whole Stranger Things cultural phenomenon that happened.
Yeah, totally.
Like, dude, that I was just listening to 1985, getting ready for this, and it's funny you sing her kids make fun of her because she's still living in 1985, right?
Right.
And it's kind of like, dude, for the past 5 years, I feel like the whole world has been living in 1985 thanks to Stranger Things, you know?
Very
like
true.
I've got a 10-year-old son. I was like a kid in the 80s. You know, I grew up like basically him in the 80s. So it's so cool with Stranger Things. Me and him watched Stranger Things together. And then we watched Goonies together and Back to the Future. All of those things are so good, first of all.
Yeah, man.
Goonies. And Goonies is the best, dude. Every year they do a thing in Astoria, Oregon, like right around the time that the Goonies was released in theaters, like in the summer.
Right.
Me and my son try to get out there every year to be a part of it. They do like a Goonies day. It's just crazy.
Anybody from the cast come?
You know, they have not since we've been going. We've only been going a couple years, but I know they did for the 30th anniversary. They had like Sean Astin and Corey and all those guys went up there. Awesome. It was going to be a big one this year because it was the 35th anniversary, but obviously we got COVIDed out of that. So
that movie gets referenced so much. You know, when I think of the 80s and I think of Stranger Things, I think of Giorgio Moroder. The guy did all the music for like Scarface and all the pop songs.
Didn't he like create the synthesizer or invent it or something?
Something, yeah, definitely something. But he took that sound and made it super mainstream. And when you go back and you hear those retro records, all I think is Giorgio Moroder.
Hell yeah. Kind of like the way every song you hear ever since 2010, you can hear Skrillex in every single song on the radio and all the pop production, you know?
Definitely.
Okay, so yeah, so that song, I was going to ask you if you think that Stranger Things, like you were saying, the kids love it. And that was Kids Bop. You're probably talking even a few years back, but even right now, I'd imagine that song is still getting crazy streams. You know, you're getting a digital plaque and everything like that. I wonder if it has this new wave, like a fourth wave, ever since the Stranger Things.
So my 15-year-old is addicted to TikTok, and she's like, check this out. She puts it up in my face, and it's this kid tattooed from head to toe all over his face, and he's singing an updated version called 2005. And it's all these emo bands. He replaced all the old bands from the 80s with all the bands from the 2000s. The kid couldn't have been more than 20 years old. And I just thought, all right, keep it going, man. Keep it going.
Yeah, there's been a big resurgence of Hey There Delilah as well on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So cool.
I feel like our buds in Simple Plan got it made right now with I'm just a kid. And
oh, yeah.
Song is everywhere.
And by the way, I've always been a big fan of that song. There's a song like I'm Just a Kid. It's like borderline cheesy with that lyric, but I don't know, something about, I always loved it. I've always been like, I guess, a kid at heart and not ashamed of that. So I kind of felt like I was always like, yeah, man, I'm just a kid. Doesn't matter if I'm 40 years old, I'm still a kid, you know? But the melodies in that song, dude, the nobody cares if I'm alone in the world. You know, that's just so good.
Yeah, dude. Pierre was the king of all that melody back then.
Hell yeah. You want to talk maybe a little bit about Want to Want Me? I'm great friends with Ian Kirkpatrick, who I know you wrote that one with, and he produced it. I have a little bit of a backstory. I remember when he played me the demo or whatever it was before the song came out, but he was all excited that he had a Jason Derulo cut coming out. And Ian, you know, he did a record with us. He had a lot of little blips, you know, but he never had his big smash. And when he played me that record for the first time, I was like, dude, this kind of sounds like a hit. This could be it, you know? And I remember he was so excited. He was saying that the label was all excited. So yeah, I have a little bit of that backstory, but I'd love to hear, you know, your version of maybe writing it. And Derulo is credited as a writer, but I don't think he was there with you guys when you started the song, if I'm correct.
Right. So we used to do a writing camp, a small group of 7 writers. Obviously, Ian was one of the people, me, Jason Evigan, Sean Douglas, Lindy Robbins, Julia Michaels, and Sam Martin. So the 7 of us, maybe 2-3 times a year, would go rent a house someplace outside of Los Angeles. And we started out at Lake Arrowhead. And we did 2 Lake Arrowhead trips. I think we did 2 Montecito trips, Ojai trip, and some other place. And each one of these trips, we would do 5 days of writing. So we would split up into 2 groups, and we would write 10 songs while we were there. And it just so happened that the second trip that we took to Lake Arrowhead, on the last day, on a Friday, when we only had 2-3 hours before we had to get out of the house, that session was Ian Kirkpatrick, me, obviously, and Lindy Robbins and Sam Martin. And so Ian couldn't wait to get out. He could not wait to get out of the house because he was going back to LA to catch a flight to New York, because he was seeing some chick in New York and he was super into this girl. And he's all giddy and he's kind of packing up, and we're all sitting in his bedroom. And so we're sitting in his bedroom and we're, you know, super uncomfortable, like 2 people on the bed, 1 person in a chair, and Ian's got this guitar case over 2 chairs to kind of make a desk up, and some speakers. And he's got this huge smile on his face. And we're like, man, what are you so smiley about? He's like, yeah, I'm going to New York. And I've been seeing this girl. Like, he's trying to be all cool about it, but he's just kind of gushing. And he's like, the sex is out of control. And last time I was there, just knowing she was there, I couldn't sleep. Like, I was just fucking laying there, and it was so hot in the hotel room. I just threw the blankets off me onto the floor, and get in a cab. I can't get there fast enough to get to her house. Anyways, this whole story. So we start writing this song, and I'm looking around and I'm looking at Lindy, and I'm like, that's the song. That's what this song is about. So we wrote the story of the verse is exactly what Ian was talking about. Like, it's too hot to sleep. I got the sheets on the floor, nothing on me. He's saying it's too hot in the hotel room. I'm kicking around. I just can't sleep. Bam. There's that line.
For some reason, it sounds hotter when Derulo says it than thinking about Ian. You know?
I wish Ian would have played you the demo of him actually singing the verses of that song.
Oh, no way. Really?
Because he did the verses and Sam did the chorus when we did it that day. And when we did it that day, we had all the melodies, but we didn't have a chorus. So we get to the chorus, and Ian's like, you know, we got to hurry up. And so Lindy's like, we got to put some shit in on this melody. She's like, oh, I got a girl in New York City, and don't you know that she's so pretty? Something like that.
Hey, that sounds like a line I would have wrote. What's going on?
Well, we left that day. That was the chorus. And I think the ending was, and she makes me go la, 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 something just like that, like ridiculous, just tempting.
Sure.
And we finished for the day. Ian goes to New York. And he comes back. And they work up the song. And so he sends it to us. And Sam Martin is published by Warner. And his A&R guy, Mike Caron, hears the song. And he's like, this is going to be huge. It's going to be massive. And then he just sends a list of changes. Change. And finally, here come the lyrics. Here comes the chorus. And I remember when Jason came in, and people underestimate how great of a singer that guy is. He is ridiculous. He cut that song 3 times, not because it wasn't great the first time, but because he was like, let me hit that chorus again. Let me hit that chorus again. I mean, Ian was pulling his hair out because he was like, it's great. No, let me just that one word. And then, of course, he'd sing the word, and then he'd sing the line, and then he'd go, let me hit that chorus again. And it was just a constant, let me do it. And it just got better every time. And certain words come out of Jason's mouth sound better than other words. So when we finally got the chorus done, the biggest argument I remember having was, oh, you the one I want to want me. That was the way the chorus started. And Jason was convinced, oh, is the hook of the song. And we're like, no. It's going to be girl, you the one I. It's like, nope, can't be girl. Oh, it's only a hit with O in it. And it became this sticking point.
Wow.
And of course, in the end, Mike Caron's like, no, it's going to be girl. I want that percussive girl. And of course, I don't know what would have happened if we would have put the O out, but it came out with girl. And there was 12 different versions of the song, 3 of them with Jason alone. And like 5 other people cut that record. But as soon as you heard Jason's voice, you were like, that's it. That's a hit record. All of us knew as soon as we heard it, we're like, oh man, this might be something. And then it comes out at that time. It was the #1 most added record of all time, all formats across the board.
Damn.
213 stations on week 1, I believe, something like that.
Holy shit.
Yeah, man. I remember the email chain and just reading it. And I was just like, what does this mean? What's happening?
Is this good? This looks good.
Is this good? Ian's writing back. No, we're fucked. We're doomed. It was great. That was one of the best experiences of my life. First off, wrote it with some of my best friends that are in this business, that we kept doing these camps and we kept writing songs. So I had that experience with them. To Jason, he's just such a great guy, but just magnanimous, wanting to make the song the best it possibly can be, from really stepping up on the vocal, going, I know I can get this better. Like, bro, it's great already. What are you talking about? But no, I can make it better. To a great video, to a great marketing plan over at Warner Music. I mean, just to be a part of that was awesome.
I love that little vamp he does from the second verse into the second chorus.
Oh, that little thing.
It's like, it's so good.
He's
like,
such a good singer. Such a good singer.
Is he doing a lot of TikToks? I didn't know
Oh my
that.
God. I think he gets paid $75,000 to promote something on TikTok.
Damn. Wow.
Crazy.
It's funny you mentioned the Mike Caron checklist. Ian, one of the things he shared with me about the song, and this blew my mind because to me, it seems so obvious 100%. But he said that, you know how I don't know what key the song's in. Let's say it goes from C major to A minor, right? And the verses, A minor,
right,
back to the C, right? And Ian said that you guys, when you did the chorus, initially you kept that same progression. So you went C, you're the one I want to, A minor.
Yeah, back to
girl, you do, to the C. And he's like, yeah, it was fucking Mike Caron's idea to change that third chord. And he's like, I don't think it's as good. None of us liked it. And I'm like, you're fucking crazy. That makes the song, because then you go from that back to the A minor after you get that third chord. Oh,
it's the release.
So epic.
I want to go on record saying right here, not all of us felt that way. The biggest argument we had in the room was me pushing that third chord. Sam and Ian ganged up against me. And Lindy, God bless her, Lindy's like, let's just get it done. Let's just get it done. So to her, it's like, whatever chord works. I'm like, no, this chord. And they just looked at me and they're like, nah, it's not cool. It's not cool. I'm like, fuck cool. It's a hit. Listen.
Good work on that, dude.
Thank you. Well, it didn't matter because the demo still got submitted with the 2 chords. And when Mike Caron came back and did it, my first email to Ian was like, listen to that third chord. He writes back conveniently, oh, I don't remember you pushing that chord.
Selective memory, right? But yeah, that move right there, you know, in the songwriter world, you hear the name Mike Caron thrown around by everybody. You know, it's like he's the head of the damn industry or something. So to hear something like that, I don't really have much experience working with him or anything, but to hear input like that, I'm like, damn, okay, the guy knows what he's talking about. He knows his shit, you know?
He makes hit records. Mike is the kind of guy that can listen to a song and go, this is a hit. in disguise. Let's clear away all the bullshit so I can just hear that. Audience is going to respond like this. His genius is hearing it and knowing what's the extra part that has to go. And then once that's gone, if it's not exactly what it's still in his head, he's really good about articulating. The third chord's holding it back. There should be a release here. This should change. And, you know, he's a musician. He can talk music. There's some people that, you know, when they talk to you and they're like, I don't know, there's something not right. I can't really put my finger on it.
Our old A&R guy at Hollywood, we would always joke. Every demo we'd play him, he's like, it's just missing something.
Right.
Like that was his line across the board. Everything we'd give him, just missing something.
Give me some pepper. It's too much salt. What does that mean? I get the sugar and salt thing, but the pepper
needs to be more burgundy.
Right. Give me more orange. You know what's funny about the similarities of 1985 and Want to Want Me was when the original version of 1985 was done, it was a very sad song about a girl who graduated high school, got pregnant, and basically all her dreams, she threw them out the window and just, she became a mom. And not that that's a bad thing, but she had a lot of dreams. She was going to go to Hollywood and be an actress. You know, she was going to be a star. She gets pregnant. Basically, she hooks up with somebody and the rubber breaks and she gets pregnant. It totally derails her life. And that was the original song, which is kind of sad, kind of dark, but it was all dressed up in this happy, hey, but 1985 was awesome, even though your life's not. I thought, okay, it's a little cynical, it's a little dark, but it's cool. When I sent the song to Jared from Bowling for Soup, Jared heard it and he was like, oh, I know what's wrong with this. And then when he rewrote all the lyrics, he took out those lines that made her this sad person that, you know, you didn't really have a lot of empathy for. And he made her into this fun chick that's celebrating the fact that she's preoccupied in 1985. And all of a sudden, bam, the song sounded like a hit record. I couldn't see the forest for the trees. But that dude took one listen and he's like, I know what's wrong with this. Let me get my pen and let me fix it all.
Dude, that's awesome.
They made that song a hit.
Yeah. Were you still in SR-71 at that time?
Yeah, man. We were working on the record while we were doing our second record. And we were writing a bunch of songs. And I built a studio with whatever money that we had made. I built this little studio and I was recording everything in John, our drummer's basement. And then I had just moved to Los Angeles and I had the same identical rig with this same identical microphone in my bedroom. So we made this record. It was recorded in John's basement and Mitch's bedroom. And that was one of the songs that was on the record. And Jonathan Daniel from Crush Management was managing us at the time. And all the record companies were just trying to drop every pop punk band, even though we weren't really a pop punk band. They were like, well, this sound is over. It's 2004, I think it was. And we're going to drop everybody. And we just happened to be on RCA at the time with Lit and Eve 6 and Vertical Horizon and The Calling and all these other bands. And all of us in one day got the axe, like out of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
And
Holy shit.
Yeah, everybody got the phone call. And I remember Bruce Floor still was working there. He still had a job. Our A&R guy got fired. The guy who was working radio, Ron Poor, who had the #1 record in the country, he got fired too. They just cleaned house. So we called Bruce Floor, who we thought still had a job. And we're like, you need to be our A&R guy. And he's like, I got about a week until the hammer falls on me, dude. You're going to have to find a new home too. And that was it. He went, we went, everybody went. So we had this record. And Jonathan Daniel, who I think is just a genius, Jonathan Daniel was like, well, if your singles are these 3 songs here, you've got this song, 1985, on this record. I think this could be a really big song for Bowling for Soup. You need to send it to Jared. Butch Walker was in the studio with them at the time recording. So they were like 90% done their record, and he just kind of threw it down there. Jared listened to it, Butch listened to it. They were like, let's do this rewrite. Let's jump in there. Let's hear how it sounds. Next thing you know, #1 most added record. We were sitting at home. We were like, damn, we actually did write a good song on this record. But no one at the label had ever even heard our record. So once Bowling for Soup redid the song, put out the video, that awesome video, and it blew up, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to LA and write songs for everybody else.
I love that. Was that song before or after Stacy's Mom? Do you remember?
Right around the same time, but I want to say it was after, because I believe Bowling for Soup's record came out late 2004. And for whatever reason, I think Stacy's Mom might have come out 2003 or 2002, but basically around the same time.
I love Fountains of Wayne, by the way. So 1985 came out, and I always thought, man, this could have been a freaking Fountains of Wayne. You know, it kind of has that vibe where they're always talking about nostalgic things with kind of like a kitschiness to it. So that was like right up my alley as a fan of them. It was, you know, easy to love that song.
We were trying to rip off Weezer when we wrote it.
Ah,
We were huge Weezer fans, and we were just like,
of
can we just
course.
distort everything? Like, if you ever heard the demo just sounds like we ran everything through a fuzz pedal.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the Bruce Springsteen demo version of Born in the USA?
Uh-uh.
It's kind of a similar story. He wrote that song as like an anti-war acoustic ballad. There was a demo of him doing Born in the USA. And yeah, he wrote it as this kind of stripped down, chill, more dark. Everybody thinks it's like, yeah, Born in the USA, but it's kind of like, no, we're kind of fucked up, and we're going to war all the time and all this shit. So whoever, I don't know if it was Bruce's idea or whoever was the producer for Born in the USA for that record, or maybe it was the Genius A&R guy or something, who knows, but told him to ramp it up, turn it into an upbeat song, and obviously huge, amazing song.
I feel like the same way about Blinded by the Light, Springsteen.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
his version, Blinded by the Light. You're like, who heard this being a hit? Song is awesome. Song is awesome.
Yeah. I have a very strong love for Springsteen. It was probably right around 2000, somewhere around there. It was before 9/11 and all that stuff for sure, because then he came back out with The Rising. So it was before all that, but I was actually at home sick. And I remember I just had like VH1 Classic on or something like that. And My Hometown came on by Bruce Springsteen, which is off that Born in the USA record.
I love that song.
And I was like, damn, like this song is awesome. I never heard it before. And so my girlfriend at the time, I knew she was at the mall. And so I hit her up and I was like, hey, can you get me the Born in the USA CD? And so she got it for me and brought it over to me.
That's hilarious.
And I was just hanging around in my basement, cleaning up or whatever. And I put it on and, tracks like 1 through 5 just kind of glazed over me. Wasn't really paying too much attention. It was like cool, cheesy 80s stuff, whatever.
Right. All the singles.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They were amazing, but I wasn't paying attention at all. And then I heard this line. Do you know No Retreat, No Surrender by any chance?
Off the top of my head, no.
There's this line in like the bridge or whatever. And it's like, I want to sleep beneath peaceful skies in my lover's bed with the wide open country in my eyes and these romantic dreams in my head. And I heard that line just popped out to me. I was like, holy shit. I rewound it, listened to it again. Damn, that line's fucking awesome. Started the album over again from track 1 and just sat down and listened to it. I'm getting chills right now just like thinking about it. Instantly became one of my top 5 albums. I was like, holy fuck, every song, the lyrics are so fucking good. Bobby Jean, My Hometown, Dancing in the Dark, Glory Days, Born in the USA, I'm on Fire. Like, holy
I'm on Fire,
shit.
dude. That song's incredible. My favorite lyric of all time is The Highways Jam with Broken Heroes on a Last Chance Power Drive. Everybody's out on the road tonight and there's no place left to hide. Fuck.
Oh yeah.
So good.
Yeah,
See, now I need to know who produced Born in the USA. Watch it be Giorgio Moroder.
I don't think so.
Are you down with Jaxsta yet? Jaxsta.com? It's a credit site. It's a music industry credit site.
Oh, wow.
So
No.
A lot of times you can't, a lot of times when I look for stuff, I can never find it or it's wrong. So there's this little company, they're out of Australia, and somebody turned me on to them, and they're doing this thing where it's the industry's official music credits.
Oh, cool.
It's metadata from the labels. So if I put in Born in the USA, right, see if it's here.
Sure.
Producer, Bruce Springsteen, Chuck Plotkin, John Landau, and Steve Van Zandt.
Oh, shit. Cool.
Great seminal record, man.
Oh, yeah. Amazing. I'm like a collector of things. So whenever we'd go on tour, I'd be on the road, I would always try to stop into any little local record shop, or even if it's a Best Buy, and pick up some, new CDs or new DVDs or something. Oh, I never got to see that one when it was in the theater. I gotta grab it. And, thinking someday I'm gonna watch all these movies or whatever, listen to all these records. But luckily with the quarantine, I've got this huge collection of movies and music and everything. So I've been listening to a ton of vinyl. I do not have Born in the USA somehow. That's something you need on vinyl, that big ass cover. So I think I might have to Amazon that one.
It's funny because when we were on the road, I remember the satellite dish never worked. So every night after the show, we'd go to Walmart and buy DVDs. And no matter how many DVDs I bought, I still ended up just watching Goodfellas every night.
Well, that's the problem, right? It's you've got all these awesome movies that are going to be great. But when it comes time to actually sit down and watch something, you're like, oh, I'll just watch this Wes Anderson movie that I've
Right,
seen
right.
25 times.
I know I'll be asleep by, 45 minutes in. I won't be stressed about it.
Exactly. Yeah. Whenever I do get a chance to like watch a movie, like I said, I have been able to a lot in the quarantine. Not as much as I want to, by the way. I have this like vision that I'm going to watch a movie like every day or every other day. And I get to it maybe once a week if I'm lucky. But I definitely make it like, okay, shut off the phone. I have this awesome setup in my basement. It's like I don't fuck around. I don't just turn it on and go to bed. But it's a movie that I actually am like looking forward to seeing or that I've never seen before. I make it a moment for sure.
You make your kids watch it with you?
Sometimes, yeah. I'd never seen Footloose before.
Oh,
going back to the 80s,
classic, man.
I know. I don't know how I skipped that one, but we watched that one together just a few days ago. It's like last weekend. And of course, amazing, classic. But yeah, a lot of good 80s movies. I watched Dirty Dancing also for the first time in this quarantine.
The first time.
I know, dude. I was still like a little kid in the 80s. So some of those teenager movies, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
so I was still like a little young. Now give me like Wayne's World, Tommy Boy all day, but some of those earlier ones, I don't know.
Those are the date movies, man. Not Tommy Boy. I'm talking about Dirty Dancing.
Oh, for sure. I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. Great date movie. And Swayze. Fucking Swayze.
Oh my God, dude.
He was the man. We only do 2 marathons. We did a Swayze marathon and then we do John Wick marathons. I can't get enough of John Wick and I don't know why.
No, I've only seen the first one. I got to dive into that one.
Come on, man. You got to catch up. I mean, Keanu Reeves killing everybody. How can you not love John Wick movies?
I feel you. So is Point Break the crossfade in between the
yes 100%
Patrick Swayze and John Wick? Yeah.
And then also with music because Flea is in that movie too.
Oh shit. There you go.
So it brings us into the fold.
My favorite Patrick Swayze anything, I think, though, is the Chris Farley, Patrick Swayze Chippendales tryouts.
Oh, man. Classic.
Unbelievable.
SNL?
Unbelievable.
Classic.
Oh, yeah. And again, with 80s song Maniac, right? She's a maniac, maniac.
Well, Chris Farley was just a beast. Just what a crying shame, man. The willingness to go out that way, and talking about it forever and then legitimately doing it. It's just a shame.
Yeah, very sad, man. Very sad. I saw in the Wikipedia you're from Baltimore. Are you bros with Matt Squire at all? Isn't he from that area?
I know Matt, and we worked on a couple records together. And then I think Matt is living back in Maryland again, near Baltimore.
Yeah.
But there's like a cool Baltimore, Maryland contingent of songwriters out here in Los Angeles and a few in Nashville as well.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Eben Taubenfeld's a great example, who is Jonathan Daniels' right-hand man now over at Crush. Dan Book, another producer. Ammo and J. Mike, both from Baltimore. We've got like some representation going on out here, That's
awesome.
There's a bunch of us. We make a little bit of noise.
Hell yeah. We did our last album with Squire, and he's one of those guys that, of course, have loved him. That first Panic at the Disco record that he did is still one of my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah, dude.
And yeah, just always hung with him at events and stuff, but we never worked with him. And so this last record we did with him, and definitely one of the coolest experiences we've ever had with a producer. So yeah, love that guy. He was back in Maryland, but we did the album in LA. So he was out there, and then every couple of weeks we'd take a couple of days off. He'd fly home with the family and then come back. It was cool.
Yeah. It's funny. I never got a chance to do a full record with him. We worked on a bunch of TV shows together when he was out here, which was kind of like the thing that happened somewhere around 2012. It was like all the TV producers came to all the guys that were doing pop rock songs, and they were like, we need all these songs. You're like, sure, man. We'll write. What do you need? Give me a list. We all started working for all those companies, and I had never worked on movies before, films or television, and it's a completely different world, but it's nice not to do the same thing every day and spread yourself out. Matt kind of felt the same way. He's a good dude.
Oh, yeah. Because I'd heard this because we had toured with the Panic guys a few times, and just asking them, like, so dudes, like that last song on the record, how'd you guys think to do that? It's so crazy, that time signature thing, and, just being total annoying, like fanboy. But they were telling me stories about being in the studio with Squire. One of the days, Ryan Ross had just watched Putting on the Ritz, the movie or something. Oh. And he came in and was like, hey, Matt, I just saw this movie. It was really cool. Like, I want to do something like that. And so then Matt sat there and dialed up a little track with a little riff and a vibe. And then they would come in right to it. It was really cool after hearing about all these stories,
That's
just
awesome.
actually sitting with him. A lot of the record was just acoustic demos for us.
Sure.
And so just to let him play around with it and do this, like, oh, I think I'm going to tune the guitar up an octave, chop it up, and make it kind of like a reggae thing. And you're like, are you fucking nuts? That sounds like the dumbest idea. And then 20 minutes later, you're like, holy shit, dude, this is so sick.
Exactly.
So it's just wild to work with somebody like a counterpart that will almost one up you. It was just a great experience with him.
I was talking to an artist the other day, was talking about working with different producers, and they were talking about working with this one producer who was the coolest producer, but basically was recording them and kept asking them, like, what do you think? What do you think? And finally the artist was like, stop asking me what I think. I hired you to come in and produce this and make it awesome and make it better than what I can do. If I cared about what I think, I'd be producing this record. And I thought, wow, that's
true. It's a fine line because as a producer, of course, you want the artist to be stoked.
Right.
And you want them to feel like it's their vision and their product. For the Plain White T's, especially because we've got a lot of different personalities within the band, because I can be a little bit more controlling or more like, no, guys, it's got to be like this. So having a producer, I think, is super important with a band vibe. Because it's like, okay, like you just said, he has the final say. Of course, we have to like it, but we have to trust him. And if he thinks this is the way to go, then okay, let's roll that way. You kind of have to have that outside objective. So yeah, if there's a producer who's like, I don't know, man, what do you think? That sounds scary. I don't know.
He sounds more like an engineer.
Yeah, exactly. How are you doing just with life and everything, quarantine stuff?
You know what? It's good. This house is a studio house. And then I have another house that's way outside of Los Angeles where the family is. We're in this tiny little town. It's boring even when there isn't a COVID situation going on. So we're nice and sequestered. We don't have to worry about, people all around us or being in an area that's like a high infection rate. We've just been kind of laying low, and the house has got great Wi-Fi, so the kids are happy.
That's all you need nowadays, right?
Right. We got the grocery delivery from everything between Butcher Box, Farm Fresh, and like 10 other deliveries. We've got everything that we need. So as long as I can get up in the morning, drive down here, write a song, we can keep going like this for as long as it takes.
Oh yeah. I love these memes. When quarantine started, all the memes and stuff, it was like, oh, it turns out the way I live my life has a name, quarantine. Or so, just super like, I feel the same way. For me to not be, because, Plain White T's are still active. We're still doing tons of one-offs. We just toured last December. So like to be stuck in one place. I'm in Chicago right now. I go back and forth. I've got a spot out in LA as well. So I go back and forth constantly. Every week, basically, I'm flying back and forth. And I've been here stuck in one spot since, March 12th, I think. It hasn't happened since I was like 19 years old, where I've been in one spot this long. So I'm really trying to enjoy it. Like I said, catching up on movies, music, trying to write, like you said, just get in the other room and just grab a guitar. If nothing's happening, that's okay. But at least just try to plug in, not physically, but mentally every day, stay creative and, stay inspired and everything. As long as, knock on wood, everybody around me stays healthy, I'm enjoying the forced chill for sure.
Well, it's funny about downtime. When you're touring, you tour for a living, obviously. There's a lot of scariness going on right now. Like, are we ever going to get back to the point where we can be touring in a profitable way where the fans who want to see my band, want to see my act, are they going to be able to come out and see it? And can we afford to put on the type of show that they're expected to see? That's probably the biggest thing that I'm hearing from the artists that I work with, especially the ones that are like, production is kind of a thing for them where it does cost them a certain amount of money. So when they talk about filling up a venue at half capacity, but charging the same for the tickets, they already know, oh man, like we're not going to be able to put on that same show. But I do think the fans at least are at a point where they're like, I don't care if you just turn the lights on at the arena and you play a set. I just want to see some live music. Totally. And that's the thing, man. Like right now, every major tour that was coming out got canceled, and kids who I think probably getting hit the worst, they are dying for live entertainment. And the young kids, especially Billie Eilish was going out on her worldwide tour. Oh man, I think she sold out every single show that was on the road in 25,000 seat venues. They're all just sitting back going, no show. Taylor Swift, probably one of the biggest touring artists in the world, puts out a record, no shows. all
Yeah.
virtual, all online. And I think that's the difference. We have to segue to this community where you and I, not only are we doing an interview this way, but people are putting on concerts this way. And artists are going to be engaging with their fans like this. And writers are engaging with other writers this way. I had 5 Zoom sessions over the last 2 weeks where I hope one of them is a great song, becomes a hit. When people talk about, how'd you write that song? Maybe we're having this conversation 5 years from now. And I'm like, well, to be honest, I was sitting at home with nothing to do because it's quarantine and the chorus just hit me. FaceTime my buddy. We finished the song, did a track, vocals back and forth. Next thing you know, that's how it's getting done now. It's a new world.
Yeah, I haven't done a Zoom session yet. How'd it go? Is it weird? Is there like a weird delay? Does it feel like a disconnect, or is it cool?
You're in for a treat. They're nowhere near as bad as I thought they were going to be. So my first Zoom session was with Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20. And
Nice, yeah.
I was like, okay, this is my first session with Rob, who I'd only met once before, and we have to do it like this. This is going to be so awkward. But now we're bros, and we wrote a great song. We think it's going to be end title of this film that's coming out, if movies ever come out and go to theaters again.
I know.
So it can really work in your favor if you're just focused to having a great time and writing a great song. And that's all we're doing, man. Like there's sometimes we'll go to a studio and we'll go to write, and it's not your day, and you're there in the room. So if you're trying to do it online and it's not your day, no shame. You just say, you know what, I'm going to go make a sandwich. That's the end of the session. The pressure's kind of off now.
That's true. Well, I think the pressure's probably off too, because like you said, who knows if movies are going to be a thing. What is some label going to put a bunch of money into some single right now,
Right,
when there won't be any touring, when there won't be any radio, traveling around to stations and promoting it and all that stuff? It's very bizarre.
Well, I did read this article about entertainment industry and the future of the entertainment industry, and looking at it from a label standpoint, which I don't really look at things from a label standpoint or from a studio standpoint, but my neighbors all work for big studios out where my house is, and their perspective has really changed because they realize that a lot of things are going to have to stay online. A lot of things are going to have to stay the way they are now, that even once this is gone, they're still going to deliver films to VOD. Disney Plus is still going to drop major Disney films on their network for their subscribers. And so if this is the current wave, if you look at how much money concerts were generating and the labels, let's say, had a piece, or how much money a movie was generating from box office, first and second week box office, especially worldwide, movies are out of control budget-wise. They're just so expensive. And it's because they could make so much money on that first initial week. And records used to be the same way. Do you remember back when it was all about first week sales? And you couldn't even nail whatever that number was supposed to be? Well, that slowly disappeared. And now, instead of putting out records, we're just dropping a single here or there, dropping a single here. Now that COVID's happened, and there isn't going to be an artist out there doing the morning show circuit and touring and putting on this thing, that idea, which was kind of where the music business was headed anyway, that's going to become the norm. And these movies directly to video are going to become the norm. So what you're going to see is these massive companies readjust and allocate money so that they know they can still make a profit, but they can still put out great movies, great content. Great artists can still put out great songs without spending a fortune on a budget like they were spending it on. So it's not going to limit the amount of content. We're still going to get great stuff. What I think is going to happen is you're going to get better stuff because they realize that there isn't that first week audience anymore. Now it actually has to be halfway decent so that people can listen to it. And then 2, you're going to see stuff that's a little bit more tailor-made to the consumer. So stuff that, Disney Plus is going to have Disney movies. They're not going to worry so much about acquiring everything else. It's going to have a lot of first-run content like Netflix. And now Hulu's doing the same thing. HBO Plus, same thing. Record companies, I'm doing a lot of work with Warner. Warner is looking at their roster, and it's not about having these legacy artists that have been around forever. It's about developing new talent, new songwriters that can record it in their bedroom. And it can be sent to a guy like me to clean up, kind of finish, and then sent to a mixer who's mixing in his space. We all listen, go, this sounds great. It's mastered. Next week it's released on Spotify, and people are listening going, oh, I love this song. Instead of going to the studio that's costing you $2,000 a day and all these other things. Everyone's having a setup like this at their house. Like, this is my studio. This is the whole thing. Every kid's going to have this in a bed in the corner of their house. That's going to be their own studio. We're all going to be recording our own vocals and our own instruments, and that's just the way it's going to be. People are going to pick their producers based on, hey, can you finish this idea without me being in the room with you? And it's still awesome. And we'll collaborate over the internet, and we'll still write great songs. And 5 years from now, we'll look back and we'll all have great stories.
It's not like life is on hold right now. It's just, this is actually happening. So figure it out, do the
Exactly.
Zoom sessions, get the setup. I've been doing a lot of recording in my dining room.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
same kind of thing. Good acoustics.
How's the reverb? That's what I was going to ask. How the reverb
Yeah.
is.
I mean, the vocals sound awesome. There's, if you get right up there, it's not too much to deal with, it doesn't get out of control. So it's good.
This Saturday, I'm going to go buy a piano.
Oh, hell yeah.
Teach myself how to play piano. Why? What else am I going to do?
Yeah,
It's
dude.
time. 100%.
Hell yeah. Thanks
You
again
too,
for
man.
doing this. Thanks for writing those kick-ass songs, dude. Awesome. Like, changed definitely a big part of my life. And obviously, you got plaques to prove it that a lot of people love them too. So
I appreciate
great
it.
work, dude.